that we're going to have a essentially fixed timeline where the county and the city are going to sit down again and get to meat and potatoes on weekend and extended hours and the level of service.
And I won't be long-winded, but my passion behind this is last Labor Day, example, my little brother was at Hickory Hammock cutting, got stung by a wasp, allergic reaction, couldn't breathe, couldn't do it. I got to him up 67, called 911. There wasn't an ambulance on this side of the county. I had to meet the ambulance halfway at Dead Man's Curb with my brother choking in the passenger seat of my car. So making them abide by the urgent care on the weekends and holidays and extended hours would have got care a lot faster.
Definitely a need. Thank you for your description of that, and I'm glad your brother's all right. But that's just another example of many of the needs for our medical services in Franklin County. Okay, pleasure of the board.
I make a motion that we move forward on what we've just discussed. Does that make any sense? I know it's not very in depth, but you know, you kind of got the idea.
Okay.
How would you like me to word that?
No, Keisha's looking at me, so let me see if I've got it right. She's the one that's recording.
Keisha, how would you like me to word that?
Approve the amendment
With
the additional languages. Are we adding language to it?
We're adding, I hope we're adding, I'm not trying to put words in people's mouth, but I hope we're adding that one particular issue on our back to the table in 6 months after the Baker-Tilly report comes in.
Back to the table.
Yeah.
Once the Baker-Tilly report comes
Yep.
in.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll make that amendment to include the amendments after the Baker-Tilly report.
Okay.
Does that make sense now better?
You get it, Keisha?
Thank you.
Do you have that, Miss Keisha?
I'm just a dumb old boat captain. I don't know too
No,
much.
you did good. Thank
And
you,
I'll
Commissioner.
second that.
Okay, we have We have a motion by Commissioner Reese, have a second by Commissioner Brown. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
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 All opposed? Motion carried. Gentlemen, thank you for coming. I know that y'all not
Thank you.
gonna hang around. Appreciate you coming. Yep.
And if you would, this is not a,
Oh, just a minute.
sorry, no, you're good, It's just a motion to authorize the mayor to execute the agreement. What
Okay.
does, Mr. Schuler and I will work on it. We'll get that paragraph 2 just edited a little bit and then get it to the mayor for signature.
Okay.
I'll
just a motion.
motion to have the mayor.
Authorize the mayor to,
Authorize the mayor to sign, approve it.
Okay, have a motion by Commissioner Brown,
I'll second that motion.
second by Commissioner Gray. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Thank you,
Thank
ma'am.
you, guys.
Thank you, sir.
thank you.
Y'all have a safe trip.
Just
Mr. Attorney.
Yes, one other item, just kind of an FYI for everyone, is we had 3 cases today involving violation of the truck route ordinance, and the judge upheld the truck route ordinance in whole. There was no issues. Just wanted everybody to know.
Thank you.
So that'll be I'm not talking about amending it tonight, but
So it's all legal.
it's all legal. We have authority and jurisdiction and to enforce it, to enact it and enforce it. So we are in good shape there.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Hartman. Appreciate the hard work.
Yes.
Any commissioner have any question for the attorney?
No, sir.
Okay, next is the city administrator, Ms. Courtney.
Did anyone have any questions with the staff reports?
No, ma'am.
I know Commissioner Brown asked for a little bit more information on the water and sewer report, and Charlie said that he would do that moving forward, so.
Thank you.
She requested a few things in particular, and that he's gonna include those.
I'd like to comment on that, and I had commented before. In the beginning, when the department started making those reports, I'll make this comment about the water department. They were doing a super report. It was specific. It wasn't an overkill, but it was very informative as to what the water and sewer department's activities were. But recently, it's become just water and sewer usage. And getting back to that would be great. I don't know what you gave to her, but anyway,
I haven't
that's,
seen
that's,
the old
that,
one.
that's my take on it. So, it was a good report in the beginning. And the other departments, I'll go ahead and compliment those. They're very good. And I hope the commissioners are looking at those because it demonstrates the amount of work that our employees are doing. So, thank you.
All right, a couple of months back, I reported that we were looking to do a revision to the master plan at the airport, and everybody agreed for that was to move the hangar from one side to the other. That was a pen and ink change, and it has been approved by DOT. So that has been done. The airports also, they've done American Rescue Plan Phase 1 and Phase 2 at the airport, and they're ready to do Phase 3. It is to burn and/or remove existing and previously generated clearing material from projects 1 and 2. I did have some discussion with the mayor about this, that we believe they need to bid it out with an option to burn and an option to remove, and let's see what the best price is, because we have no idea going forward if burning's gonna be more efficient or just removing it. But we have reviewed it, and the airport board has reviewed it, and we're just asking to move forward with letting it out to bid.
Super, thank you, Courtney, but I would like to comment and share with the board that Courtney and I did a tour of the airport and looked at the activities where we had approved quite some time ago the monies for the airport board to do that drainage clearing, if you will. I think you folks remember that. Anyway, Courtney and I we went over a couple weeks ago and we rode and looked at it, but where they did the clearing, all the piles are still sitting there. And the piles of massive piles of that debris, it's been sitting there long enough now that everything's growing up in it. You can't even hardly see the pile. But anyway, long story short, I suggested, and she and I talked about it, and we discussed it with the airport board. The Phase 3 was actually to go forward with more of that clearing. And I really don't agree with that right now with the money left over. I think the priority is to get rid of those piles, because if you don't, the clearing that they've done to this point is just gonna be in vain. So get rid of those piles and then we'll see where we're at. So that was the proposal there for that. So thank you, Courtney. Did
So-
y'all have any questions about that? Okay,
So we would need a motion to move forward with putting it out to bid.
okay.
I'll make a motion to put ARP Project 3 out for bid.
Have a motion by Commissioner Brown to put that ARP 3 project at the airport out to bid. Do I have a second? Have a second by Commissioner Walden. And I'm hesitating because Keisha just got back, and thank you for turning down the air conditioning temp.
She didn't want to.
Tell me when you're ready, Keisha.
I'm ready.
Okay. All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carried. Thank you.
All right, we have discussed previously about applying for 2 FERDAP grants, one for Patton Park and one for Lighthouse Park. And as part of that, there is a list of things that we need to do before we can apply by the end of the month. 2 of them are the resolutions that's on the agenda tonight need to be passed. I need to have 2 public hearings. It does not involve you guys, you don't have to be here, but we'll have 2 public hearings where the public gets to come in and they voice what they want to see out there. And so I'm going to schedule those for September the 18th. One will be at 1 o'clock and one will be at 1:15. And like I said, it's great. If y'all want to come, you're more than welcome, but you don't have to.
1 and 1:15.
So we'll approve the resolutions tonight. We'll have these 2 public hearings, and then we'll also have to have it on a regular planning and zoning board meeting, which will be this month.
At these meetings, I know like if we go to P and Z, we can't always ask questions. Can we come and
Yes.
ask? Okay,
Yes,
because I have lots of suggestions.
yes, that's what they're for, is to take suggestions and
Okay.
hear people's thoughts. And then we take those and we give it back, that feedback back to Fred Fox, and then he's gonna have to take our suggestions and work them into a plan that's gonna create the most points.
Okay.
So, And that's all I have.
Okay. Any questions for the city administrator? Okay. Thank you, Ms. Courtney. Ms. Keisha, are you ready?
I am. We will be having our first budget hearing on September the 12th at 5:01. We will have a CRA meeting the 17th at 1:30. As Courtney mentioned, the 18th, a public hearing for the grants at 1 and 1:15. September 19th will be a P&Z meeting at 2 o'clock. September 24th will be our final budget hearing at 5:01,
That was the 24th.
the 24th. 5:01. And then our next regular city meeting is October the 3rd.
I thought our final budget was the 23rd. Is that not correct? Monday?
Was it the 23rd?
That's what I put in my phone, but that could be wrong.
I thought we,
It doesn't matter to me.
I
but
have it for the
just-
23rd too, Keisha, on my calendar.
okay, somebody had something to do. Normally I try to do them on Tuesdays, but somebody must have had something. The 23rd, okay, 5:01. We haven't advertised it yet, so the 23rd will be,
Is that good for you?
that's good for me.
Okay.
Either the 23rd, 24th is about the only 2 days we have.
I think you said to do it on the 23rd in case we need to
Yes, that's right.
Doesn't matter to me, I'm open either day, but I had it on the 23rd.
Well, hopefully we should have it all ironed out by then, and it,
Okay.
and that's all I have.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Any questions for Ms. Keisha?
No.
Okay, next is Mr. Russell.
Okay, thank you. The DOT for the Small Communities Outreach Project funding application, that's for Baywood. We were expecting that by the end of August, and now we're told that will be, the award announcement will be at the end of September. So we're still waiting for that one. On the Lighthouse Estates, we're coordinating with the contractor for final closeout of Phase 2. On our Marine Street improvements project, we've issued a punch list update to the contractor. On the summer camp water and...
Question before
Yes,
you go any further.
okay.
Mr. Russell, not to put you on the spot, but the punch list to the contractor, how many meetings has this been that we've announced that you've supplied that list to them and things
They-
haven't happened?
They have happened.
Okay.
And so we updated the items on that punch list as completed or corrections still needed.
Good.
So,
Good, okay.
yes,
That's
yes.
fair.
We keep track of each item and make sure they're complete.
That's fair. It just seemed like there for a minute, if I
Yeah.
was missing something, that they're not moving forward on it. But
They have
Yeah.
made progress on this,
Okay,
on
thank
those
you.
items. Okay. On summer camp, the interconnection, the Resilient Florida, that's a 100% grant application. That application was submitted. And we expect the award for that to be by December for that one. That was a large amount. That's in the $15 million range. That's a big project.
Wow, yeah.
Okay, on our Lanark East and West sewer rehabilitation projects, we met with Fred Fox and representatives from Florida Commerce. They're a consultant that helps cities prepare those grant applications. We met with Courtney with them, and the decision was made to combine those projects under one contract. They'll still be separate projects, but let as one contract, and we think we can get better pricing that way. So those plans and specifications. We had some last-minute adjustments to make there. Fred Fox assisted with that. We're submitting those tomorrow for their review, and pending any comments, we'll be ready to let both of those projects.
Okay, super.
Okay? On our 5th Street, 3rd Street, Gray Avenue, and Avenue A resurfacing, I'm sure you've seen the milling that's taken place. The paving will be done on this coming Monday. They'll be here this Monday to do that paving work.
Avenue A too?
Avenue A.
If it's,
It is. It is.
Oh, is it?
I saw flashing
Okay.
lights down there, but
It's milled. Yeah, so they'll be back Monday to do that work.
All the way to 98? Because I asked you
Yes.
about a price on finishing that at
Yes.
Mount Stopping.
Yes. I did not follow up on that.
So we
And
I will
discussed
ask that
something
question.
right there at 4th Street or 3rd Street. And then we went back and asked Russell to get a price on finishing it all the way.
The little
because not
piece.
leaving that one block.
I was wondering, but
well, money.
Yeah.
But if we had the money, just, we'd talked about going on out with it.
Right, and the DOT right-of-way is there as well, so we would have some DOT involvement, so trying to limit the complexity.
that would have probably taken longer.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
makes sense.
And on Gray Avenue, maybe I'm being too picky, I'm sorry. But it looks to me like they stopped way short of on Gray Avenue, looks to me like they stopped way short of the intersection down here on 12th Street.
Okay.
Instead of coming up to where 12th Street connects to the intersection, it looks to me like they stopped well short of that.
Okay. I'll ride up there and check that and see if I can
The
tell
first
exactly
thing
where
that
they
came to my
stopped.
mind was they was wanting $12,000 more to do that intersection. But I'm not being rude. I'm trying to make sure that the folks are doing the work that they should be doing.
All right.
But
That's
what it appears to me.
I'll check that.
Yeah.
I will check that. Okay, lastly, I wanted to talk about the Rural Infrastructure Fund Program. I know some of the commissioners are aware of it, maybe you all are. But this is a program that would fund various infrastructure projects, stormwater, roadway, water and sewer, utility infrastructure. For other communities, this would be a 75% grant. For Carrabelle, this would be a 100% grant because of their designation as financially constrained. So we met with Courtney to prioritize some projects, and also Commissioner Mayor Millender. And the projects that were a priority to fund, and these can be grouped under one funding application. The Ryan Drive drainage improvements and the Gulf Avenue 5th Street ditch improvements to clear that ditch out to the bay, to clean that ditch out to the bay. So that funding request would be the first priority for the city, and that would be a $310,000 funding request. Secondly, there are some wastewater treatment plant upgrades that we've discussed with Charlie. One is a pond liner replacement, and he has some weir repairs that are needed. That total wastewater treatment plant upgrades would be $250,000. So those would be two separate applications, one for Ryan Drive and Gulf Avenue, stormwater related. The second would be the pond liner and weir repairs at the wastewater treatment plant. That would be the second application.
what was the
Okay.
price on that liner?
$225,000.
225? Okay. And 300 and what for the two projects with 5th Street or Gulf Avenue and Ryan Drive?
310.
310, okay.
Yes.
Is that it?
That's it, unless there's other
Yeah.
projects or any other discussion. I should say this grant, the application due date here is September 16th.
Correct.
And we're prepared to make those applications.
Do we need a motion?
We do, but I have a question. I'm just gonna give these commissioners an opportunity to ask questions and talk. First, Commissioner Walden, do you have anything? You?
I just want to say thank you for jumping on this.
Yes.
Yes, thank you.
No, I have nothing.
No, sir.
Bill? I know that you and I and Courtney have communicated. I did briefly think about it, but I let it slip my mind until just now. And what refreshed my memory is we just had 2 county representatives here, and I watched their meeting last night. And at their meeting, it was brought up, not this grant, but the discussion was brought up last night about this drainage ditch right here that runs from the Gulf all the way to Highway 67 that we're having tremendous issues with beavers, et cetera. When you leave Gray Avenue, you know where that culvert's at. When you leave Gray Avenue, that's nothing but swamp all the way to Highway 67. And it's still an issue with drainage. I don't know what to suggest, or even if we should suggest anything there on stormwater drainage. Do you follow where I'm going with that?
I do,
Okay.
I do.
Because it's a constant pull from our roads and streets. And here I'm defending them again, and I'm having a discussion. It's a constant pull for them to try to handle a drainage issue on that ditch. It's just constant. Yeah. But, so it's a thought. And maybe it's something then that after this meeting that you, Courtney, and I can toss around. And if it's reasonable, yes. If it's not reasonable, the commissioners are already informed as to what position we're in right now with those that I feel like are pretty critical. Do you have any thoughts on that, Russell?
You know, we had looked at that a while back and years ago.
Yeah.
And from what we could tell, it appeared there might have been some changes made on private property that were causing some issues there.
Right.
And I'm not certain if there are recorded easements over that drainage ditch. I know that there would be a prescriptive easement over that drainage ditch, which I think Dan could address better than me. But that was the extent of our
Okay.
research on that. But
Well, maybe it's not the time for us to get into a full discussion on it. Maybe later, Courtney, what I brought up was this ditch from 67 to that's coming right by us here. Yeah, that's what I brought up. Anyway, Russell, maybe it's not the appropriate time. It's not on our plan tonight or agenda to discuss. We can discuss it after this meeting, and we'll go from there.
okay,
Okay.
all right.
Food for thought. Is that good with you, Ms. Courtney? Okay. How about the commissioners? Y'all good with y'all?
Yes.
Okay. Is that all you have, Mr. Russell?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
So are we making a motion to apply for this? Are we waiting?
Yeah, do you need a motion on any of that? Mr. Hartman?
I do
That-
not believe so.
Okay,
All right. Thank you. We'll proceed that way.
okay.
Thank you.
We all agree in principle anyway. Are we good there? Okay. Okay, our advisory board reports. Mr. Steve, did you have something? I guess all the commissioners had the opportunity to look over the reports? Okay.
We didn't get one.
Yes, sir. My name is Steve Allen. I represent the Carrabelle Lighthouse Association. I always think about what I'm going to speak on. And tonight, I had decided to make a special thank you to Commissioner Brown. She contacted us before her meeting with the TDC and got input from us before she went over and advocated for our needs with the county commission, the TDC board. And I wanted to thank them. And I didn't know they were going to be here. I'm unfortunate they left, but always thanking the TDC and the county commission for the support that they give for our museums. And that's all. Thank you so much. We're getting ready for our fall series of events that were funded by the TDC, including the Lantern Fest and others. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
you.
Steve. Did you have a question, Ms. Brown? Okay. I should call you Commissioner Brown. Anyway, Ms. Tamara.
Hello there.
Hey, Ms. Tamara.
I'm sorry I was late getting my report in today.
Well, thank you.
There's this huge, ugly box on the ground in front of the museum, and in that box is the most beautiful historical marker for the Justice Building. So we're working with Streets and Roads people to put up a proper receptacle for the pole, and we'll be having a ribbon cutting for it eventually, but it really is beautiful. Everything was spelled right, and it looks really pretty. And our goal is to get the TDC to pay for it. So we're working with Commissioner Brown on getting that done. I still have to find out whether it's the museum or the city that has to make that application, but it's all the same. It'll all work out. So that's exciting, and that we didn't have to pay for it. 20 years, you know, you got to just hang in there. Okay. So we've got this year's coastal cleanup is the 21st, Saturday, September 21st. I gave you guys a flyer with all the places. The two for Carrabelle are one at Carrabelle Beach and one at the Pavilion. And, you know, at the risk of, all of Carrabelle is invited to bring in bags of stuff and help us clean up everywhere in Carrabelle. So if you're at the, we always clean up the coast, but I think our whole town is the coast.
Yes.
So if you've got some specific, especially not your basic garbage trash, but the kind of things we find in metal and refrigerators and junk like that, perfect place for it. You don't have to drive it all the way over
Good to know.
to the dump. So that's, we're looking forward to that. We're following up with the FWC with getting some of the derelict boats out of the river. We've got several sailboats in front of sea quarters that are just, the first time we have a big storm, they're just gonna be a big ammunition looking for something to hit. So we really need to keep moving on that. And then on Saturday, October 5th, we're having a special museum day, all three museums in town, and we'll be opening a new display, which is really interesting, from pottery shards and prehistoric Indian dishes and and shells that were their tools that came out of probably the 150 to 900-year-old artifacts coming out of a place at Jordan Bayou. And we've had fortunate to get them into a really nice exhibit at the museum. So we invite you to come by and see that. And there's going to be a guy that writes not fancy books about pirates, but truthful books about pirates, and he's done one about the pirates of this area, and he's going to come and talk that afternoon at the museum. So lots of good stuff going on, and just hope you'll come down and listen to it and participate in it. Any questions?
Yes, ma'am. What was the date on that museums?
Okay,
The coastal cleanup I have.
goes to cleanup, and then
Okay,
October 5th.
okay.
And that's
It's-
also when the author will be there?
Right, the author, that author is gonna be, signing and selling his books, but talking about the real story of the pirates at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So it should be pretty good. It's been a good week for that holiday. The museum day has turned out to be a good one for the three of us. So we've been working real hard on getting it more interesting this year.
Okay. Y'all have any comments or questions for Ms. Tammer?
Well, I have something to say.
Sure.
One of the sailboats had been moved, and it looks like whoever was doing the salvage on it set boom around it to keep petroleum issues at bay. But then they left the boom, and the boom broke. It's that yellow floating material. And the last time I saw it, it was wrapped around one of the markers down by the bridge. So I'll try to get the boat and go on over there and dig it out, and we'll dump that too.
What a mess.
You know, it was a good try. Sometimes those things get away from you.
Well, I know they just, we just have to keep on them because, but it turns out that our neighbor John Harris that lives
Correct.
over here has some special connections with this program, and so he's been pressuring people behind the scenes.
With the derelict vessel program? Yeah, that was gonna be my question to you. Who was communicating with, to begin, I think the first step's FWC.
Right, well, John's
Yeah.
on it.
Okay, if John's making contact, that's good. He does have some connections.
And he knows how that all works real well.
Right.
So it's easier to rev him up and send him off to do it. So.
Now that
it's-
he's back off vacation.
yeah. Anyway, thank you all so much.
Thank you, as always. Thank you very much, Ms. Tamara, for everything you do. Okay, airport, we don't have any, you don't have nothing to report, Courtney? Okay. Any other, anything else? Right. Well, we don't have a representative here from the airport board, so just, okay. Okay, moving on to public hearings. We have the second reading of 2 ordinances coming forward. And first one, I'll turn over to Mr. Hartman, will be ordinance number 496, and I still want to call it 495.
So this is ordinance number 496, a second reading, and an ordinance of the City of Carrabelle, Florida, providing for definitions, adopting regulations for commercial vehicles, amending ordinance 495, Part 2, Code of Ordinances, Chapter 66, Article 3, Sections 66-61, 62, and 63. City of Carrabelle providing for severability, repealing ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict therewith, and providing an effective date. This is the amendment to the truck route ordinance that we workshopped. And just by way of recap, the material changes are raising the vehicle weight, basically the definition of regulated truck, kind of streamlining it and raising the weight limit to 26,001 pounds. To simplify if you have a destination inside the city, so you're dropping off, doing a job, or leaving your primary residence, then returning to the truck route, we simplified that by not calling it the shortest route anymore, but it's if you are north or south of Avenue F, so you return to it that way. And then we added a provision under the enforcement and penalties portion, providing for after your third offense, then, and that would be adjudicated guilty of your third offense, then it can be considered a criminal infraction, which is a misdemeanor of the second degree, punishable by a fine not to exceed $500 or incarceration for a period not to exceed 60 days or both. And this is second reading, so it does require action.
Requires action. Any comment from the commission? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Brown to approve ordinance number 496 as read. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Have a second by Commissioner Reese. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Mr. Hartman, if we'll move on to ordinance number 497.
All right, under ordinance number 497 is Carrabelle's City Commission amending the City of Carrabelle Land Development Code, Article 3, Part 3.06.00, Flood Damage Prevention Ordinance 457 and 481, to make modifications to bring the city code into conformance with current FEMA-approved regulations, amendments to the floodplain management regulations and the Florida Building Code, providing for applicability and severability, and providing for an effective date. And this is the approximately every 10 years. This one's been a little longer, but where the state requests that we update our floodplain management ordinance to comply with state law and federal law that comes down through the state. And we talked about this a little bit on first reading. And we worked with they provide a template. We kind of make clerical edits to it and whatnot, but it should bring us into compliance with current state regulations.
Okay, thank you, sir. Pleasure of the board.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am. Proceed with your question.
Ms. Keisha, have you sent us this, have you emailed us this? I know last time you said the map wasn't ready or something or other.
Dan just was cleaning it up.
Okay.
He can get that out,
Okay, thank you.
because it has all the different edits back and forth from the state.
Okay, thank you. That was all.
Any further question?
No.
Pleasure of the board.
I'll make the motion to approve ordinance number 497.
Have a motion by Commissioner Gray to approve ordinance number 497. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Brown. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Thank you very much. Okay, we're moving on to Resolution 09-2024. Mr. Hartman?
All right, this is resolution number 09-2024. It's a resolution of the City of Carrabelle, Florida, authorizing submission of an application for the Florida Recreation Development Assistance Program, FERDAP, to the Florida Department of Environmental Protection for federal fiscal year 2025-2026. Whereas the City of Carrabelle desires to submit an application to the Florida Department of Environmental Protection for the Florida Recreation Development Assistance Program grant to benefit the local residents. Whereas there is a present and growing need for outdoor recreation opportunities among persons of all ages within the City of Carrabelle, Florida, corporate limits, and among those visiting the area. And whereas the city recognizes this need for additional recreational opportunities, whereas meeting the increasing demand for recreational opportunities can best be met with the development of the Crooked River Lighthouse Park Phase 2, as detailed in the application for funding, in which the city is submitting an application in the September 30, 2024 application cycle requesting $200,000 in grant funds. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Commission of the City of Carrabelle as follows: that the City of Carrabelle hereby authorizes the filing of an application for a Florida Recreation Development Assistance Program grant, and that the Mayor of the City of Carrabelle is hereby authorized to execute all documents required in connection with the filing of said application to be submitted on September 30, 2024. And 3, that as a part of the application for the Florida Recreation Development Assistance Program FERDAP grant, the capital improvements element of the comprehensive plan of the City of Carrabelle, Florida will be amended to include the development of the Crooked River Lighthouse Park Phase 2 in the City of Carrabelle if the project is funded in the 2025-2026 FERDAP application cycle.
Okay. Any question by the board?
No.
Pleasure of the board.
I'll motion to approve resolution number 09-2024.
Have a motion by Commissioner Brown to approve the resolution. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Have a second by Commissioner Reese. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, Mr. Hartman.
All right. The next item is, sorry,
Quasi judicial hearing?
actually one more resolution.
Oh, you do? Yes, we do. I'm sorry.
No problem. Resolution, this one's resolution number 10-2024. It's a resolution of the City of Carrabelle, Florida, authorizing the submission of an application for the Florida Recreation Development Assistance Program, FERDAP, to the Florida Department of Environmental Protection for federal fiscal year 2025-2026. And this one is, whereas the City of Carrabelle desires to submit an application to the Florida Department of Environmental Protection for a Florida Recreation Development Assistance Program grant to benefit the local residents. whereas there is a present and growing need for outdoor recreation opportunities among persons of all ages within the city of Carrabelle, Florida corporate limits and among those visiting the area. And whereas the city recognizes this need for additional recreational opportunities, and whereas meeting the increasing demand for recreational opportunities can best be met with the development of Patton Park Phase 2, as detailed in the application for funding, in which the city is submitting an application in the September 30, 2024 application cycle requesting $200,000 in grant funds. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Commission of the City of Carrabelle as follows: that the City of Carrabelle hereby authorizes the filing of a grant application for a Florida Recreation Development Assistance Program grant, and the mayor of the City of Carrabelle is hereby authorized to execute all documents required in connection with the filing of said application to be submitted on September 30, 2024. And 3, that as part of the application for the Florida Recreational Development Assistance Program, FERDAP grant, the capital improvements element of the comprehensive plan of the City of Carrabelle, Florida will be amended to include the development of the Patton Park Phase 2 in the City of Carrabelle, if the project is funded in the 2025-2026 FERDAP application cycle.
Okay. Any question or comment by the commission?
I'm excited about this one.
If not, I'll pleasure of the board.
I'd like to make the motion to approve resolution number 10-2024.
Have a motion to approve resolution 10-2024. Do I have a second?
I will second.
Amazingly. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carried. Now we're through with them. Sorry. You guys want to take a break, or y'all want to go forward?
going.
Okay.
Rock and roll.
Okay. Quasi judicial hearing. I call this regular meeting of the Carrabelle City Commission suspended, and we entered into quasi judicial hearings. And the first item on the list is discussion and possible action concerning a special exception for 1681 Highway 98 for 3 RV spaces, which is currently Zone C1 Mixed Use Commercial. Ms. Keisha, do you want to take off with that, or you want the attorney?
So this one has been through P&Z. They sent out all their required letters, and P&Z recommended approval for this, for the 3 spaces. And this is the metal building out towards the beach there.
Yeah, the metal building just before you get to the boathouse
Yes.
thing? Yeah. I had one question. Are they, oh, sure,
the
yeah.
applicant.
Yeah, okay. And state your name, come to the podium, state your name, please, sir.
My name is Green Labuzan.
Okay,
I own
thank
the
you.
property.
Did you have a comment that you wanted to make before question?
No, just respond to questions. It's a kind of I do have a comment. I was gonna get quite deeper into the project and put a little motor lodge on the back, and my life has changed. I'm keeping an eye on my mom in Miami, so I'm stuck in South Florida, so I just kind of brought it back to just a basic, the building, the infrastructure that is there is that steel building, that monster of a building.
Right.
It's got a lot of electricity underneath it from whatever previously was going on there, whether it was they had big saws at a paver company. I know that was one of the things. The previous owner that I bought it from, David, didn't really know the history of it, as far as why, but I just want to utilize it to basically a niche where if someone with a RV that's pulling a bunch of ATVs that they want to go to Tatesville, or pulling a big boat. Right now, I vacation here. I don't really live here, and I have since I was at school at Florida State. But the problem with like coastal, the RV places, there's really no place for anybody to bring, basically their toys with them. So what they got to do is you got to check in at the coastal and then find a spot for any, like if your kids want to come down and in a truck. You're spread all over the place. You're down at the marina. So I'm just going to offer a very simple, and I don't have sewer. I have well water, and I have electric, but I'm not going to offer sewer. It's going to be probably a 2 or 3 night max stay, where the RVs themselves, especially the newer ones, are pretty well self-contained, and they don't really need to dump, and if they do, they could go right down to coastal and dump, and then come right back. I mean, that's kind of the plan.
Okay, that was just gonna be one of my questions right there, is Mr. Hartman, is the health department gonna allow spaces without providing sewer?
Yes, I don't believe we require it. So if, and I'm unaware of any health department requirement for it.
I'm not getting into it because that's not my profession. I see things going on within the county that if they can't get sewer, they're having difficulty getting a county permit.
Yeah,
And
if it
I
was-
don't know the loops of that. I had just,
I think that's for
it
long
just
term.
concerns me about having RVs there without
Yeah, it's for,
sewage.
I think longer term stays and residential purposes, certainly, you would have to have it to get like a CO. You're gonna have to show how you're disposing of sanitary sewer. But since these folks won't need a CO, they'll pull on, hook up to power, possibly water, I guess, but, on some of these RV things, I guess and you can see it in like State Park, they build them as primitive or different levels, right? I mean, obviously you don't want people showing up and thinking they can pump out when they can't, but I'm sure that's on the owner to advise people that are renting spaces just what's available, what's not, and I don't believe, and to Keisha, but we don't regulate. We let people, if you're allowed to do RVs, you dictate the terms on which the RV is being
On
used
the
on the site.
amenities that you provide, basically.
Yeah.
Just my feeling of it, I have a concern about sewage disposal. I don't know of any other facilities that we allow without being able to dispose of sewage.
I mean, it certainly could be a contingency based on the approval, you know, if you wanted to.
And another thing comes to my mind, and here again, I don't want to get into anyone else's wheelhouse. However, I know that there's been issues where raw sewage has been hit the ground and the health department's come in.
Yep.
There's an issue there somewhere.
That would be code enforcement, health department, but you're
Yeah.
right, if you want to try to avoid it altogether.
Yeah.
Get ahead of it.
So that's my only issue is sewage disposal.
Right.
I don't know how the rest of the board feels, but that's the first thing that comes to my mind.
Mayor, can I say something?
Sure. If you'd come forward and state your name, please.
My name is Daleen Siegert. I just want to let you know that there is websites all over the United States, and it's called boondogging. And people are able to list that, hey, I've got a site here that you can come in for a day, and there's no sewage. You cannot drop sewage. You cannot, some of them you can't even have electricity. It's for people that are traveling like from Florida to California, and they just want to stay one night, and they can't get into parks, or their trailers are too old and they can't get into parks. But there's entire websites that you go and sign up on and say, hey, I've got a spot, you can come and spend the night, and they're there for one night and they're gone. I don't know if that's what this gentleman's doing, but they cannot drop sewage, period, in that realm of how that works. So I just wanted to
Okay,
point that out.
Thank you.
And that's
Yes,
what-
sir. Mr. Gray?
That's what I was thinking, like our campsites that we rent in Tatesville State Forest is the same way. None of them has sewage, but you have to haul yours out with you, with your camper.
That state forest or any park to that nature, natural, in my view and opinion, is a little bit different setup. They are all geared to be primitive. We're within a, if you will, a developed community here. And if we start having somehow accidentally or on purpose, whichever way it happens, raw sewage in the community, accidentally out on, let's just say Tate's Hell, for example. Let's say accidentally happened out there. you're not impacting a whole lot of folks out there, but you would be in our community. But that's just my view of it. And I know the health department would get involved real quickly on raw sewage. So anyway, that's just my concern. I don't know, the rest of the board has some opinions
I
here.
have some questions for maybe Keisha.
Sure.
So if we approve these 3 RV spaces, what's to say I'm not saying you're going to, it's just a question, that people don't start living in them permanently? What do we have in place to prevent that from happening?
We have an ordinance that says that you can't live in RVs.
So what would be the length
It
of
would be a
time
code
that they could
enforcement.
stay there without living in there? Or do we know that off the top of our head?
180 days, they have to be moved at least, and that's part of the flood ordinance.
How long?
I
But
thought there was a
14 days is
Goes
the,
with a home. You have to have a home there, and then you can have your RV and use it up to 14 days, but you can't have an RV parked on a lot and be used living in the RV. And then, but in this case, it would be an RV park, so I don't know what that would.
But they would be living in it. I mean, not permanently, so
180
don't
days is a
misunderstand.
long time to.
that's as far as moving it for flood, that's part of our flood
Right.
ordinance. As far as occupying it, it cannot be used as a residential use.
So, but do we have anything that says, like, if they're there for more than 14 days, you can code enforce them? Or like, at what point would you be able to code enforce them for staying too long?
I think let Dan look at the RV ordinance,
Or-
because it may cover that. And then
It-
It's been a while since I've looked at that.
And the other thing I'm concerned about, and I said that was the only thing, and I'm listening more here, and I'm getting more concerned, is if this is granted, it's granted by special exception.
Right.
It's not listed. And if we approve it, it's approved by special exception. And we definitely don't want to, in my opinion, approve things by any means that's gonna set us up for continuous code enforcement
Yes,
and issues.
that's what I'm trying to.
That's a concern that I have. I'm not anti your RV issue. I just want to make sure that we're flowing along in the right direction. Especially, I'm stuck on the sewage deal. I still think that could be an issue, not necessarily blaming anyone particularly. So,
Well, I travel a lot, and there's actually, like the lady said, there's Harvest Host. There's an entity that is winery. I mean, there's like 500 things across, might more now. They add them constantly. But you stay in wineries, you stay in beer district. I mean, you stay everywhere. So people aren't just. I mean, it would be in their agreement with me if they drop sewage. I mean, they're not going to be allowed. I mean, you don't drop it in a parking lot at a winery. You don't dare do it. So I'm saying the RVer adapts to where he goes in. He looks at the agreement, the Harvest Host, okay, it's a winery, you can't come in before, they all have the unique rules. And the community's pretty respectful of that, the RV community.
and I agree, sir. I had my RV in a space, it was supposed to have been primitive Silver Lake, Commissioner Gray. Paid for my RV to stay there for legally in Wakulla County for 6 months. But they had central sewage disposal. I had to either unblock my RV and take it over there to the central sewage disposal, or you buy a cart, which a lot of campers do, sewage cart, and you had a place on site that you had to dispose of your sewage. It was a central disposal system for that primitive
Was that
RV park. However,
storage?
and you said no one, like you were describing in the winery, don't dump sewage. We just had a call here a few weeks ago where an RVer accidentally, he dropped sewage at Carrabelle Beach all the way down Highway 98 to the park down there. So things can happen, and I'm not blaming you. I'm just saying things can happen. But anyway, Mr. Hartman, that's
Yeah,
where I'm at.
So looking at the code, it does not appear that there would be any limitation if you're in a trailer in a park, right? So what we'd be creating here is a small park, 3-unit park. So unless that is a condition that you all put on it, meaning you say, look, if you don't have sewer in particular, you'd need to limit stays to less than
14 days or
something,
whatever.
right? As far as sewer, it does talk about this in our code, sewage disposal. Just talks about self-contained toilets or sewage connections in or accompanying travel trailers shall not be connected or dumped in the city except to a sewer connection, licensed dumping station, or septic tank adequate for the disposal of sewage. So our code certainly contemplates situations where it's self-contained, and so that is not something we require. It's not something we typically require. But
What
now
did it
we're-
say about the central disposal?
It says, basically it says self-contained toilets. It basically says you should not dump anywhere but sewer connection, licensed dumping station, or septic tank.
And that's basically what I'm asking. Are they
Yeah,
gonna
but
have
it
a
doesn't
place?
require you to dump there. It just says,
Yeah.
if you have a self-contained sewer toilet, that's the only places you can dump it. Otherwise, you got to hang on to it.
Yeah, and they considering the self-contained is the RV unit itself,
Right.
because it is self-contained.
Yep. So we're not required, if you're gonna dump it in the city, you gotta dump it in one of those 3 places. Otherwise, don't dump it, which I think is consistent with what the applicant's talking about.
What are those 3 places in the city for them to dump it?
Sewer connection, so they pays a tap.
Do we have one?
Doesn't sound like he has one at that location yet.
Okay.
But I mean, meaning and then that licensed dumping station or a septic tank, right? So if someone wants to dump sewage, their RV in town, they've got to use one of those 3.
But what I'm asking there is where in town do we have a dumping station?
The RV parks, I think offer them, the moorings.
Coastal does.
For a fee.
I was gonna say that for a fee, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure if they allow that for their renters or if they allow it for anybody.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Well, and I guess the idea is if there is not one, meaning there's not really would be a dumping station, they can't dump it, right? They have to leave town, go somewhere else to dump it. But I understand what you're saying. I mean, if they're going to illegally dump it,
Yeah.
then that's a problem.
Kind of it leaves things open. Anyway, that's just my feeling, folks. Okay, Commissioner Brown?
Okay, so if we were to make this special exception, could we make it and put a time limit on how long the trailers can be there? So I think that's something we might need to look into, button it up at some point.
I do. I think when someone says, hey, it's going to be a trailer, applicants saying, hey, it's going to be a short-term, I plan on doing it for short-term. We can certainly trust him to manage it that way and put, in order to
Put that
ensure
language
it
in there.
remains short-term, to put
Okay.
a condition on it that keeps it to 14 days.
Okay.
So, I mean, but actually, is that
However.
adequate?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm open to that, yeah.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't want to make it 3 days because if
That's-
someone's going to come down
that's
here
different. I mean, that is-
with their toys and spend money in Carrabelle and,
that's what
they
Yes.
want to spend 10 days here because their family's all coming in, I'd like that. But 14
I'd like
days is
it
very
too.
reasonable. And like I say, that would just be part of, and a massive fine, I don't think it would be a problem, but a massive fine that I get to charge them if I find, I mean, I've been taking care of that property. I've got it, I've fenced it, it's a nice piece of property, so it's not like they're
like
pulling into a very rustic type place. I mean, I mow it regularly, I mean, I'll see if they break the rule, I've got cameras around. If they break the rule, I'll see them do it, and I mean, I don't think it'll happen, but in the hypothetical it is, there's nowhere to really go. If you go back, the RV will sink because it's all sand on the back. So the area is mowed, and I don't think anybody's going to disrespect it. And it's kind of what she was talking about, the many sources to get someone to utilize. It's a unique niche that I'm trying to create, of a RVer that just that I've been. I pulled trailers across the country, and I'm 75 feet long, and I'm driving across and I'm KOAing, and I can't find anybody to take me. And if they do take me, at the entrance, you gotta unhook the tray, it's all of these rules. I'm just trying to kind of find a niche that I've found, I needed, and just, the property's pretty perfect. I don't really have any neighbors, to bother my people could never be as loud as the boathouse people are. I'm not sure what they're doing over there, but, and I say that I could have a neighbor move in, or, that restaurant could open over there, but I'm pretty isolated, so I don't think noise will be a factor. I think it'll be a very good niche, and hopefully in some small way, you guys, I thank you all for doing the work for the very diverse work for the city after sitting in this, but I think, and I'm not in no, I'm just saying, I think they'll spend money. I think people will spend money in the city, and that's kind of good for, they'll obviously give me some of it to lease the space, and, but it also, they'll go boating with you, hopefully, especially now, it looks pretty quiet. I drove by, I came over from Gulf Breeze, and I was very surprised at how empty Coastal and Coastal West, I drove past those things, and I'm like, wow, it's definitely not.
It's that time of year.
Yes.
And your points are all valid. Your promotion, they're valid points, and I respect those, but I'm sorry, but I have an issue with not being able to provide sewage disposal. And then, was your question answered on the length
I
of
just
time?
had a kind of an explanation comment.
Okay.
It seems like we're picking you apart, but it's not you. We have
Yeah.
to think
Well, you
about
got a
the
job to
next
do.
guy
I
who
understand.
asked
Yeah,
for this
yeah.
exact
I
same
understand.
thing.
Exactly.
We don't want to set an example and then change it, so that's why we're asking all these questions and getting all the clarification.
Yeah, she's a very valid point, and I thought about explaining that to you, is, it's not just your request, it's those that's gonna come after you. And, we have to be consistent and fair to everyone, and that's what we plan to be. So, anyway, any further concerns or questions for this applicant?
I would think that someone, whoever it was, that had a facility like this would be pretty dog-eyed on who was going to mess up their area. Because if there's a dump somewhere, or somebody, somebody releases something somewhere, it's going to affect the whole business program. So I would think that it would be monitored sufficiently, because you don't want somebody pooping in your place. It's not good for business.
Right.
I don't know much, but it's not good for business. So I would think, Mayor, that due diligence from the owner would be an important part on making this happen.
Well, and let me, sorry, the
And
engineer
I'm
mentioned.
just gonna respond to that real quick, and I couldn't agree with you more, but all people aren't the same.
Correct.
You know that as well as I do,
Dude,
so,
I
and I'll leave it there. Go ahead, Mr. Hartman.
And just for the applicant, just for you to understand, sounds like the potential hangup is sewer disposal. Engineer just whispered to me, he said, hey, there's a lift station right around the corner, and sewer is available at that site. I can't tell you what it would cost.
I know, I've already,
Oh, you've already looked into that?
well, when the 6 hotel rooms, this all was part.
Right,
This
okay.
was 8 months ago, when I started trying to get this thing pushed through, and I have the paperwork on the sewer, the city water, because I wouldn't put the well water that's coming out of that thing in my
Right,
RV,
no,
so.
yeah.
that would've been-
Okay.
that'd
Yeah,
have been-
you certainly have the right to apply as you
Right, but
you
now.
want it to be approved.
But now
at the
I'm
same
in-
time, if you see, hey, there's an issue here, just wanted you to know it was available, obviously available.
Okay,
You know
yeah,
it is.
yeah, I know.
So, okay, good.
And I'm not, just to finish the statement, is I'm not in a position right now that I was 8 months ago when I had 15 grand to spend on water, sewer, coming on, I'm in a different position now. So I'm
Got it.
just trying to do kind of like Plan A. I fully intend on, and I fully intend on doing that whole thing eventually, coming back before you all, and getting the water, getting the sewer, when I can afford to put that towards this project. But right now, I'm just trying to
Yeah,
start with a base and see if my niche idea actually works.
sounds good, sounds good.
This time of the year, scares me a little bit. After
Yeah.
going by coastal, I'm like, I'm looking over there, I'm trying not to look, I'm like.
Give it a couple of months.
Yeah, yeah.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah, I've seen that. I mean, I've seen that place jammed up, so, yeah, I know. I know there are people coming here, just not right now.
And I think your niche would be good, especially during hunting season, fishing seasons right now. I mean, it's a great idea. People can bring their boats and, like you said, the four-wheelers and everything.
Yeah.
Okay. Pleasure of the board.
Would we,
Oh, you have,
well, obviously, yes, sorry. Would we consider the 14-day limitation on any motion?
That's the motion I was gonna make.
I was gonna say,
Okay. Would we consider any possible sewage in the future to accompany that motion? Or even if that is even possible to put on
It is, as a condition of approval.
as a condition?
Yeah, maximum stay 14 days. But certainly pleasure of the commission to make.
The 14
He's
days would
asking
be,
about
okay, but,
Future sewer.
yeah,
Future,
requirement, that is probably not gonna work out. But I thought that might be something that would accommodate all of our concerns.
I see where you're going, Commissioner. Yep.
yeah, I mean, you could, it's always tricky to give someone the right to do something and put, say, within 5 years, must connect, that provides sewer disposal, that sort of thing. I suppose it can be done. It's just a little tricky to give someone a right to do something, and then it's in the same hand, you're saying, hey, it's gonna get taken away 5 years from now.
Right,
He could sell the property, he could do, there's all kinds of.
And I don't want to put any extra burden on the owner or the developer, but I'm just trying to see if we can get a common ground.
Well, not to be a hard person, but anybody that's going to develop, build, or whatever they're gonna do, all enters into the issue with water and sewer.
Correct.
It's not just one individual. And it's gonna be for those that come behind this applicant as well. And that's just the way I see it.
All right, I'm gonna make my opinion on this here.
Yes, sir.
All right.
All right, before we go any further, this is a tough one. I'm kind of concerned about the sewer deal too. I mean, if it's sewer available there, city hookup or septic tank, you're not willing to invest that kind of money?
I don't have that money to invest at
Well-
this time.
I don't think he would have to go a septic tank at this point. I think he could get approved for a dump station.
Yeah.
That would have to be pumped out on a regular basis. I'm not the engineer of that, so.
Well, I'm just like the mayor here. I am concerned about the sewer deal. Other than that, I don't have a problem with it.
Yeah, not at all.
Yeah, but, so it's kind of tough to, I'm concerned if we let you do this, who else is gonna come in here and want the same thing without sewer? I don't know if we wanna start that. But I understand you got a good idea here.
Yes.
You need to figure out how you're gonna hook up these RVs to some kind of system. Go ahead.
I think
Yes,
putting the
ma'am.
time limit on it is gonna help alleviate that, because if you can only stay somewhere, say 14 days, you're going to have to leave. So they're gonna be less likely to just be dumping while they're hanging out there. But if they were living there, that would be a whole nother issue where they would have perfect opportunity to do that, because they don't have to go anywhere.
I mean,
Well, I
14 days, you talked about a lot of waste.
I was gonna say, I can share with you from personal experience
I
with an
know, but-
RV, depends on how many people are in your RV. I'll just use me and my granddaughter that hunted with me for years, and especially with a teenager. Anyway, I'm making a joke, but about 3 days, that 40-gallon sewage was full. When you start with using an RV, At home, we don't realize how much water and sewer that goes out because it's not collected into our tank. It's collected into a sewage disposal system out here. But in an RV, it collects in that tank pretty quick. So 14 days, there's a chance of them having to dump several times in 14 days, depending on how many people are in that RV and how much use there is.
The 14,
Yeah.
I think the average would be 2 or 3 days, a long weekend. I don't know who, I'm not sure who would pull into a, place where they know they're gonna have to leave and dump. They would, they would go into coastal.
I know that's what you foresee is 2 or 3 days, but if we're putting a 14-day limit on it,
Right.
it could be 14 days.
Understood.
So,
And we have to think about, like we
Yeah.
said, the other people coming behind you. We don't want to say 2 or 3 days for you and then they need something different, so try to be consistent.
One other question for Keisha. Did P and Z bring this point up at any point? Okay.
no. Commissioner Walden, do you have a comment?
We gonna have to make a decision. We
We are.
talk about this all night long, but
We are.
it's either gonna go or not.
Well,
I
that's,
will-
that's the reason why I say it's the pleasure of the board, and I think
Yes.
Commissioner Brown here is about to
I
do
will
something.
make the motion to approve the special exception with an addendum that there is a 14-day limit on a stay at this RV park for the RVs.
Okay, have a motion by Commissioner Brown. Do I have a second? Do I have a second? If not, motion dies from lack of a second. So at that point, Mr. Hartman, is it legally
Yeah.
denied?
To the applicant really is what's gonna happen next is the commission does need to make a decision, either to approve or not, the special exception. I'm their attorney, not yours, right? But, if you read the tea leaves, right, if you obviously want to do this, if you have a proposal, right, that deals with sewage, it sounds like that's the main issue, right? Length of stay and sewage, you don't have a problem with a limit on length of stay that's reasonable. But dealing with sewer, which could be connecting to city sewer, could be, a dump site on site that gets pumped out, you have a contract with septic folks who pump it out, something that would pass muster. If you wanted to kind of regroup and come back before us, they could certainly table this to the next meeting. Or you can say, yeah, then that's the problem. If it's denied, then you're a year.
12 months?
12 months.
Yep.
So if it's denied, you can't bring the same thing before the commission for 12 months. So, but that's your gambling, man. You see, you've got to decide what you think here. So, I don't want to tell you, how would you like to proceed? You want to look at the sewer issue and try to figure it out on the budget?
Yeah, let's not kill it yet. I'll see, maybe I'll get one of my buddies to help me or something.
Do you have, what kind of timeline would you want for that? Would you like to be up, like, what they could do is table it to a date certain,
It's what I was gonna suggest is
October, November?
let us table it, don't let us deny it, let us table it, and I'm probably out of line by doing this, and then that way you can work toward whatever you desire to do, and then come back to us, because I wouldn't wanna hold him up for 12 months if the opportunity's still there to move forward with adjustment.
Okay, well, that being said, how long can we table it?
As long as you want, when I say that, it's up to them, but you
Yeah.
said, I need till January, I need till February, I need till November, within reason, suggest.
Yeah, something within reason, yeah.
Let's go, I would like February, if we could, that way my situation might change and I can,
Ms. Courtney, is that good? Okay. Ms. Keisha?
Just need a motion.
Okay.
I make a motion that we table item 1 until our February meeting, when there'll be a new board, new mayor,
Amen, brother.
Thanks, guys.
I'll second that motion.
Oh, do we have some more discussion?
Yes, sir.
We appreciate you in your development ideas, and this has been a tough one. Some of my non-committal, Commissioner, was because of the sewer issue. And it's unclear, as sewer always is. So we hope that you can come back with a good, solid plan for this commission and get you underway.
Appreciate it.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
Oh,
Russell.
we got to vote.
Yes, we do. Yep. Okay. We had a motion and a second to table this issue until February meeting. If no further discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Thank you very much. Thank you, sir. Okay, yes, sir. Moving on. I'm sorry, Dan.
No, it's all good.
Okay, item number 2 is discussion and possible action concerning a special exception for 408 Southeast 11th Street for 3 RV spaces, which is currently Zone C1 Mixed-Use Commercial. I think this is the same, pretty
Same
much
thing. Good
as we
afternoon.
just discussed.
My name's James Yancey.
Hey, Mr. Yancey,
I'm
good to
on
meet
behalf
you.
Of Mr. and Mrs. Matthew Roberts. It is the same thing we just discussed. What about, everything is identical to his situation. What about the addition of porta potties? Professionally brought, maintained, I mean, the sewage is taken care of, nothing hits the ground.
Hey, that's a thought. The only issue there is how are you gonna, or my first reaction to that is how are you going to prevent the folks in the camper from using their, let's just hypothetically use an example.
Well-
Using their tank, their disposal tank, and then accidentally dumping it or dumping it on site.
You can't
Same.
stop, you can't stop anybody from doing that.
That,
I
you're,
can't
you're
stop
abs-
you, you can't stop me.
I'm sorry, I'm talking. You're absolutely right. People are people. That's the point I'm trying to make, is you can't stop that.
Okay.
And that's the point I'm trying to make with a concern for raw sewage being dumped, whether it's accidentally or on purpose. I'm not trying to blame anyone
I
for
understand.
doing it on purpose. And you can't stop that. And that's the reason why I had an interest, and I think others had an interest, on how you would dispose of your raw sewage.
I understand.
So that's the issue there. I agree with you. Go ahead, sir.
Well, if we hook the city sewage, yeah, that's an option. Now, what's going to guarantee them to unblock their trailer, move it over to the dump station? When they're full, there's no guarantee on that either.
That's absolutely right.
I mean, I think either way, there's room for error there because we're dealing with humans, people.
But and again, you're absolutely right. There's all kind of scenarios, and I'll say this. There's all kind of scenarios, and what my thinking process is, and I can't speak for these other 4 commissioners, but it sounds like that their minds are pretty much in the same thinking process. And it's not really the accident of connecting and disconnecting.
Yes.
It's if you don't have that sewage, raw sewage disposal available, they may just pull that valve and dump that tank while they're hooked up to their truck and take off. So,
Yeah, we do have a dump station.
Okay.
Well, something similar. I don't know if that's a dump station or not.
yeah. But if you provide a dump station on site, hey, that's not and the thought of porta potties, I hadn't even thought about that, but
Yes,
that's a
sir.
thought. That's something to think about.
Gotcha. I mean, we do have a lift station or sump at the back of our shop with a big aluminum lid that lifts
Yeah.
up and all that, where RVs can easily access.
Dump into?
Yes, sir.
Well, I was gonna say that too, that they have a bathroom, so they obviously have a septic tank or sewer or something.
Do we have sewer at that point?
At the shop, yes, so they would have a place available for
So
the,
they could tap, put a.
because they own the
tap in.
whole both businesses.
Correct.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the whole block
Right.
there.
Right.
And there is everything hooked up at the back of the shop right there, you know, for that purpose.
So there is options for you on sewage
Yes, sir.
disposal there. Yes, sir. That's great. But, I don't know where you guys are at with offering or suggesting or have in your plans for, or addressing your sewage disposal. If your application addressed sewage disposal or it didn't, I don't know. Ms. Keisha?
It did not.
Did not.
No.
So, if that's what you're saying to us, is you have the ability to do that, is, maybe that what we want to do tonight, either way, I don't care, whatever's the best here for the applicant and to resolve the sewage issue, is, we can also offer you the same thing. We can offer to table this
Let's table it.
until, maybe next month, and you figure out what you want to do.
Yes, sir, please.
That'll work.
Is that good with you, Miss Keisha?
It's good with me.
Why do we need to
Okay.
table it?
Mr. Hartman?
That would work. And what they would do is when they come back, they would indicate on their, I'm gonna call it site plan, just exactly where it would be dumped and how it would be accessed. That's it. And then it may be all right. I mean,
Yes,
up
sir.
to you all. to
Yes,
decide.
sir.
Yeah.
I think that would address the issue.
Good with that?
Any other,
Mr. Large has a
excuse me?
hand. Mr. Large.
Oh, Mr. Russell?
Right, I just wanted to clarify, do you know if that's a septic tank?
It's not a septic tank.
No, they're on sewer.
We're on
Okay,
sewer.
so you are on sewer?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
I have a question.
Okay, Keith. I mean,
If they put up where they could dump this sewer on where he's talking about, will that just go with their regular sewer bill, or will there be another bill there?
We would have no way to meter what,
No way to, so, okay,
yeah.
you good, man, just figure out how you're gonna.
We got them. We're gonna back her in there and pump her out.
We see- Yeah.
So,
That's our biggest concern, just
I
where the
understand
sewer
that.
gets
I understand that. I
taken care of.
respect that.
Yeah.
Appreciate y'all being here.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
So,
Do we need a motion to
Yes,
table to
ma'am. We do.
February?
We do.
no, just till
October.
next month, I think.
I mean, not
Next
February.
month.
yeah, as soon as
Right.
possible.
Yeah.
I don't know what month it is.
Yeah.
And table, I make a motion to table until October.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Brown to table this item to, the next meeting in October.
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Walden. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried.
See you next month.
Thank y'all.
All right, thank you, man.
Thank you.
Okay,
That was
moving on. All right, we're gonna leave the quasi judicial hearing. We're going back to our regular meeting, and we'll address new business. And new business is discussion and possible action concerning awarding bid for disaster recovery, debris removal, and monitoring. Ms. Courtney, is this yours?
This is mine. We received these bids last month. We had until the 16th of the month to rank them. Staff ranked them along with Commissioner Melander helped us. And we had 10 bids that came in for debris removal. We ranked them in Ceres Environmental, ranked the highest, CERES. And so we are recommending to award the debris removal to Ceres Environmental. Do you want me to wrap these into one?
Sure.
Our debris monitoring, we only had 3 bids, and that one came back to Debris Tech. So that's our recommendation, is Ceres Environmental and Debris Tech.
Pleasure of the board.
a motion to approve the 2 suggested bids that the city administrator made.
I'll second.
Have a motion by Commissioner Brown, second by Commissioner Reese. Any further discussion? If
Just
not,
to
I'll,
say, our current contractor will remain in effect until July of 2025. This will start after that.
thank you. If not, all in favor say aye.
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 All opposed, motion carried. Staff, anything further with you guys?
No.
Okay. If not, commissioners, meeting adjourned.